Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon, whatever it is. Brian Neubert here from goldenblack.com, live in Mackey Arena with what is bound to be the worst rap video in the history of this weird, strange, annoying feature that plagues your YouTube feeds and plagues our subscribers at goldenblack.com. I am sick. I'm losing my voice. He's not helping. I have been croaking and wheezing all day long, but I'm going to try to get through 10 minutes of monologue here about Purdue's 80-45 win over Marshall. Thank you to the Purdue Club Hotel for your support. As always, we appreciate it very much. So this was, Purdue played a really, really difficult swing there by hosting Alabama on Friday night, number 2 Alabama, and then going to Marquette on Tuesday. A lot of coaches wouldn't have signed up for that. A lot of programs wouldn't have signed up for that. This was a well-earned respite. This was basically an exhibition game against a team that's going to definitely be a line on Purdue's NCAA tournament resume, but one that you will glance right over. It is just a notch on the belt, so to speak. Bye game chum is what I typically call it. Normally, there wouldn't be anything to discuss after a game like this. However, Matt Painter is nothing but empathetic to the needs of the content crowd. So what he did for us, and only for us, was change his starting lineup. So we had something to write about, we had something to talk about, we had questions to ask, and he only did this to give us those things. And we, of course, appreciate that. People do love their starting lineup changes. Anyway, in all seriousness, so Purdue switches from the lineup it had started in the first 5 games and a variant of what they used to start the 2 exhibition games, and went with Trey Kaufman-Ren at the 5, center, if you will, Camden Heide at the 4, forward, if you will, Miles Colvin on the wing, basically the 3rd guard position, and then Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer in the backcourt. This was the lineup we told you in April Purdue would be using this year. It took them 5 games to get there. I think Matt Painter really wanted to give size a chance. I think he's a traditionalist at heart, and I think that the rebounding concern for him and maybe the rim protection and defensive issues or questions are so top of mind that he really wanted to give every opportunity for a 7-footer, to really lock that down. You lose you lose Daniel Jacobson to his season-ending injury. This would have been a question with or without Daniel Jacobson. You started Will Berg a couple games. I think he's probably better off coming off the bench. I think what Kaufman-Ren gives you is a lineup that puts your 5 best players on the floor. I think that's part of it. But I also think it gives you your best offensive lineup by a long shot, and a more switchable, more versatile, more mobile defensive 5 out there. What you don't have is ultimate size at the rim. What you don't have is a dominant defensive rebounder. I'm not sure you were going to have those things anyway. So this is the decision that was made in season way back in 2011, if you remember that, when there were some limitations with that team, and they just decided, hey, if we're going to struggle with this anyway, let's put the best offensive lineup possible out there. And Robbie Hummel ended up playing center, and that's where people, sometimes balk at this kind of stuff. Trey Kaufman-Ren's too small to be a center. Well, he's not playing center. He's playing the 5. Those are 2 different things, modestly different things. You're playing 5 guys. You're playing 5 out sometimes because Trey Kaufman-Ren can play away from the basket a little bit. But you're also playing 4 guys around him that can open up the middle of the floor and then let him play on the interior, get to the rim, get around the rim, the way the 7-footers would have. He's very different from those guys, but in that sense, he's kind of the same. This isn't Zach Edey. This isn't Isaac Haas. This is much more like what it has been with Travion Williams. Now, Trey Kaufman-Ren is not the rebounder. Trey Kaufman-Ren, or too many Treys. Trey Trey Kaufman-Ren is not the rebounder that Trayvon Williams was. He's not quite the passer, but he's not that far off. He doesn't do the YouTube stuff. He doesn't do the highlight reel stuff, but he's shown himself to be a pretty damn good passer. I think you feel pretty good about that part of his game at this point. But you're playing a lineup here that's way more athletic, can have 5 guys on the floor at all times who can shoot. And Trey Kaufman-Ren can shoot threes. I don't know if you want him taking 5 a game, but he can stretch the floor. He can play in that handoff stuff away from the basket, things like that. He's done a really good job in ball screen offense with Braden Smith. So the inside-outside element to this at the 5 is more leverageable. I don't know if that's a word. Now than it probably was with him at the 4. Plus, there will be games where Umar Ballo or somebody giant is guarding him, and maybe you can get up and under him a little bit. You can give him some problems off the dribble by making him move around, stuff like that. Typical small ball concepts. But the question, clearly, with this 5 is going to be rebounding. And this Marshall game, for whatever it's worth, was not a positive step in that direction. It was Purdue out-rebounded Marshall by 1. Totals are one thing. They don't tell the whole story all the time, but I know Marshall had like 7 offensive rebounds in the first half, ended up with 14. Now, keep in mind, 15 minutes of this game were garbage time. So stats are kind of warped. But it's going to be a huge concern for Purdue with this 5-man lineup out there to rebound at the defensive end. They're going to have to overachieve. They're going to have to play supremely hard. Camden Heide and Miles Colvin are going to have to leverage their athleticism as much as they possibly can on the glass. And the way to do that is energy. And I think that Miles Colvin is actually the player who made these lineups possible, because his two-way development. Am I talking too slow? I'm just trying to not cough. I don't know why you guys watch this. Anyway, I think that Miles Colvin, his development as a player, as a complete player, has made this lineup possible, or at least more palatable, because he's another perimeter defender. He's another switchable guy. He has shown you that he's going to be committed to defense like he's probably never been before in his life. He's done a really good job in that area. He's rebounding unlike anything I've seen from him, covering him for 5 years now. Rebounding has never been his identity as a player. But he is really, really trying hard, and it speaks volumes about him. I think it bears reminding after every one of these games how far Miles Colvin has come in the substance to his game. He's always been a scorer, a highlight guy, a dunker, an above-the-rim type of guy. But that only takes you so far. Windmill dunks don't win you Big Ten games. As I always used to say about Hunter Perea, some of those other guys that come into the Big Ten with all that talent and then they don't really do anything. Colvin has really grown up as a player, and he deserves immense credit for that. Keep in mind how young he was when he came in here. He was a 17-year-old freshman at this time a year ago, I think. I don't know when his birthday is. I'm not committed enough to my job, apparently, to know all of the players' birthdays off the top of my head. But he was 17 years old, basically, coming in as a freshman.
How you doing?
Good, how are you? Good. Coming in as a freshman last year. He deserves immense credit for the progress he has made in terms of becoming a really winning player. And if it wasn't for that, the defensive piece, the rebounding piece, I'm not sure Painter would have made this move. Because they put Jakari Harris out there with the starting lineup, in part because Jakari Harris had been really good before the season and will be a really good player at Purdue, but because of his defense, but also because of his ability to be that third guard, to handle the ball a little bit in the open floor against teams that pressure and things like that. I think what Marquette showed you too a little bit was that good teams, were going to target Jakari Harris in a pick-your-poison kind of way, like if we got to help off somebody to keep people in Trey Kaufman-Ren's lap in the paint, or to cheat on the Fletcher Lawyer, or to cheat on the Braden Smith, that's the guy we're going to help off. We're going to make the freshman beat you. That's part of being a freshman. But it's also just the fact, Harris hasn't had much of an opportunity yet to show people that he can make those open threes if he's left open. I think he can. I think he will. It's just he did not Marquette, and he didn't have a chance prior to Marquette to give people reason to believe it and respect it. So now you've got Miles Colvin out there, and people know what Miles Colvin can do. I mean, he's had games where he's blown up from three. People know what he's all about. People know how talented he is. And I think having Colvin out there with that starting unit is going to be a deterrent for people who want to cheat off that backside wing. And I think that can help make Trey Kaufman-Ren a little bit more productive, because it can open up some space for him. Just space the floor more. Just occupy more people. And I think that's where this lineup makes sense. Offensively, more switchable on defense, more mobile, as I've said over and over again. But they've got to rebound. They have to rebound. Everybody has to rebound at the defensive end of the floor. That is a huge concern. If they can't rebound, if they just start getting gouged on the glass, they might have to revisit this again. But for now, this is kind of where I figured this was going all along. Painter could have very easily just swapped in Caleb first for Will Berg, but he went all the way with Colvin on the wing and Trey Kaufman-Ren at center. Camden Heide, I think this has unlocked him. I think this is something that's going to get more out of him. He's got to rebound. He's got to play with energy. He's got to defend. I've been saying that for weeks. But I think his place in the structure of Purdue's ball screen offense here, those threes he made in this game, those threes you move into, those were the threes you were getting Mason Gillis. Those were the threes you were getting Grady Eifert years ago. The four-man is a really important floor spacer in that offense, and I think he's going to be a big piece of that puzzle, as you saw. That it's called the indirect, the guy who goes away from where the ball is going in the ball screen offense. So he's going to get good looks. Purdue has always gotten people good looks out of that offense for their four-man. Aaron Wheeler, much the same way. He made a lot of threes off of that action. Caleb first, the threes he's made in his career, a lot of them have come off of that. It's just a really important piece of the puzzle, and it looks like it has given Cam Heide I don't know if he likes being called Camden Heide. I shouldn't get so casual. It's given him a niche in this offense. It's given him a role. It's given him a baseline of opportunities per game to kind of look forward to. But it's got to start with rebounding. It's got to start with running the floor, rebounding, playing with energy, defending, stuff like that. But he's going to get good looks from three all year long. Every four-man at Purdue the last few years has. And he's on a tear right now. Remember, he missed his first two of the season, and people were freaking out. And then he didn't want to shoot, and people were freaking out. And now he's letting it fly, and they're going in. And that's, it was very... Matt Painter is a confidence coach. He always wants to instill confidence in his players. He told Heide, assuming he told Heide this, he told us this. So if he didn't tell Heide directly, he told Heide through us. He said he was upset with him for passing up open threes in those first couple games. And when your coach says that, that's got to be something that, gives you a little bit more energy going into the next game, a little bit more pep in your step maybe. And ever since then, he's been on a tear. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know they're very good. So if he can shoot at a level like this all season long, Purdue's got another real weapon here. And, it was good to see for Purdue Miles Colvin make some shots. He hadn't shot as well as he had been defending and rebounding so well the last couple of games. If you get him to the point where his defense and his rebounding energize him and are translatable to offense, and that starts fueling his offense, again, another asset that can be really, really valuable for Purdue. Look, I've got like a bullfrog in my throat right now. I feel like I probably sound like a snapping turtle, if you ever imagined what it would be like to talk to a snapping turtle. So I've said everything I can say about this Marshall game. It was 80-45. This was basically a exhibition game, an opportunity for Purdue to get a lot of guys out there, give not only Caleb First minutes, but paint touches, post touches, try to feature him a little bit. You didn't need Braden Smith to score. He didn't score, but he had 9 assists. So it was almost like you were just kind of experimenting, like this was one of the games that didn't count before the season. So look, that's what I got. I'm done here. I'm gonna go find some soup or something. I don't know if they have soup in Mackey Arena, but they should. Why don't they? You know who has soup? The Purdue Union Club Hotel. I'm sure the 811 Bistro has wonderful soup. So thank you once again to the Purdue Union Club Hotel. We appreciate your support as always. The next time I talk to you guys, I will be in San Diego getting Southern California sick. So that's going to be a fun flight. So thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. Thank you for listening. And thank you for processing our materials, however it is you process our materials. And I will talk to you guys again later. Thanks.